The biggest obstacle to living a life of purpose and joy is fear. Fear keeps us stuck in limiting patterns and prevents us from stretching beyond our comfort zone, creating a prison of limitation and misery. This video will give you the tools to transcend fear. Fear is anticipation of pain, caused by real or perceived threats. The word, perceived, is the key to understanding fear. In modern societies, we do not usually face threats to survival, but instead, we suffer from fears which are creations of the mind. Fear imprisons human beings to unhealthy states of inertia, or strife. Inertia immobilizes us, leading to the condition of staying stuck. Strife, on the other hand, causes people to pursue wrong things for the wrong reasons. For example, fear of poverty can drive an insatiable need to accumulate money. Though inertia and strife appear different on the surface, both lead to suffering. When we are afraid, we choose security above growth. Instead of pursuing our highest potential and joy, we settle for survival, victimhood, abuse, power struggles, ego gratification, and meaningless activities. Fear causes mass conformity to dictate our life, which prevents us from expressing our individuality and making our unique contributions to the creation. At mass level, fear can control large groups of people, even entire nations, creating power struggles, mass control, propaganda, conflict, and war. The process of transcending fear involves 3 steps. Understanding fear, choosing a better belief system, and action. When we examine fear, we find that fear has a structure. Though fear appears in countless forms, those forms originate from 3 core fears: loss of self, loss of self-worth, and loss of control. Let's look into each one of the 3 core fears. Loss of self is the primal fear, driven by our survival instinct. This fear arises when we perceive threats to our physical existence. These include fear of death, old age, disease, hurt, and losing loved ones. The mind can manufacture other fears, such as fear of missing out, or taking risks. The fear of loss of self is instinctual and reinforced by genetic and tribal memory, originating from racial, cultural, and national identity. Similar to the need for survival, we have a core need for feeling worthy. The fear of loss of self-worth includes fears such as worthlessness, unlovability, not being enough, and general inadequacy. Incidentally, studies show that the fear of not being loved is the biggest fear of women. In our modern society, the fear of loss of self-worth is continually reinforced by social conditioning. In our ego-driven society, people are led to believe that being in control is of utmost importance. The fear of loss of control includes the fear of powerlessness, helplessness, poverty, the fear of change, and risk. Studies show that fear of poverty is the biggest fear of men. Once we understand that fear has a structure, a closer examination shows that it stands on the foundation of belief systems. Each of the core fears is supported by a core belief. The fear of loss of self arises from the core belief in our destructibility. Fear of loss of self-worth arises from the belief in external validation of worth. Fear of loss of control arises from the belief in an unfriendly universe. It is essential to understand that all of our beliefs are acquired, and none of them are objective truths. Although beliefs may be reinforced by your own life experiences, or mass consensus, that still does not prove they are true. On the journey to higher consciousness, we need to see our beliefs as tools. When better beliefs become available, we need to discard old ones. Going back to the 3 core beliefs that create the foundation of fear, 3 counter beliefs can free us from the grip of fear. The core foundation for better belief systems comes from the philosophy of non-duality. A video on our website explains non-duality in detail. In essence, you are an aspect of the source energy that is on its journey of knowing itself as a timeless being. Your brief interaction with this physical reality, known as an incarnation, is meant to provide you an opportunity for growth. The foundation of non-duality allows us to replace faulty beliefs with empowering beliefs. The process involves changing our beliefs from destructibility to timelessness, from external worth to inherent worth, and from control to the flow of life. Let's dive into these 3 belief systems. Even though you, and most people around you, see yourself as the body, you are not the body, or the mind. The real you is a timeless essence that is part of the source energy. It does not get destroyed at death. Death is just a transition, similar to that of waking up from a dream. From this perspective, an incarnation is a choice that helps us learn about our true nature, through our creations. As we learn through hundreds, or even thousands of incarnations, we become masters of working with physical reality. The belief in external worth is a social construct, and unfortunately, we are indoctrinated in it, from an early age. Parents train us to conform to their ideas of being good. If we meet their expectations, we are rewarded. If we don't, we are punished. This reinforcement of external worth continues through our school years, where our worth is judged from our grades. Even when we become adults, the narrative of external worth keeps controlling us. It tells us that our worth depends on our ability to get a good education, find a good job, find an attractive mate, and become professionally and financially successful. In this belief system, the measure of our worth is something external to us, and either an institution or a socio-economic system determines our worth. The counter-belief, the belief in your inherent worth, is independent of these artificial human creations. Since you are part of the source energy, you are inherently worthy, regardless of your external possessions, qualifications, or measures of social success. Believing in your inherent worth allows you to be free from socially defined goals for your life, which have been chosen by others, for you. Instead, you can focus on what brings joy and meaning to your life. Paradoxically, by pursuing joy, you also make your highest contribution to the creation, because then, you contribute from your authentic self. The notion of control is an illusion, or rather, a lie, propagated through cultural conditioning. Much of humanity is a victim of this myth. As we see all around us, people are clamoring for control by accumulating power and money. The need for control arises because people see the universe as an unfriendly and threatening place, which is an incorrect worldview. The universe is not a random accident, and we are not helpless victims. The universe is a brilliant mechanism for learning. Every lesson that comes our way has been carefully chosen, and if we would not cling to control, we could go through these lessons, effortlessly and joyfully. Before we incarnated into this reality, we made conscious choices about what lessons we want to learn, and how to learn them most effectively. More information about this area of research, which is called pre-birth planning, is available on our website. The transition from the old to the new belief system requires the active practice of examining our thoughts through awareness and inquiry. Here is how the process works. Whenever you become aware of fear, ask yourself, what would I have to believe to be afraid? Once you find the limiting belief, replace it with the contrary, empowering belief. Further, ask yourself, if I worked with a better belief system, how would that transform my fear, and in particular, what action would I take? This practice, when repeated, can free your mind from the grip of fear. A resource that we highly recommend here is a seminar called Changing Core Beliefs by Bashar. The video is available for purchase from Bashar's online store. The final step in the process of going beyond fear is taking action. Fear tends to paralyze us. The way out of that paralysis is action. Under the spell of fear, we create a horrific story of what would happen if we pursue what we want. This process is called catastrophizing. For example, you might feel stuck in a job that doesn't fulfill you. The moment you start thinking about a better job, catastrophizing leads you to believe that your current job is the only job you will ever find. Your skills are outdated, nobody will ever hire you. If you told your partner about your intention to leave your job, your partner will leave you first, and you will spend the rest of your life poor, without love, and miserable. It is fascinating how our minds can create prisons. The prospect of big and bold action often scares us. That is why we need to take small steps called minimal viable actions, the smallest actions you can take to move in the direction of your purpose. In the example above, the step might be to research online to explore what positions are available for your skill set, inquiring about opportunities for adult learning in your community, taking some mock interviews, and so on. Such small steps will keep moving you in the direction of your purpose, without raising the alarm. Based on the last principle, let's do a small exercise. Grab a pen and paper, and make sure you're not disturbed for the next few minutes. Once you are ready, pause the video and write down the answers to the following questions. 1. What am I afraid will happen if I move in the direction of my purpose? 2. What are some small actions I can take to move in the right direction? 3. When will I take the first action? Once you have the next actions identified, put them in your calendar, and commit to finishing them. We hope you use the tools given in this video to transcend fear, and live a life of purpose and joy.